Hey there, welcome back to No Pants Profits. My name is Richard, and today I'm coming to you from Bimini on the last day of my 7th cruise with Virgin Voyages, my first cruise on the Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady. And I'm here today to give you a review. And not just a normal review, not a cutesy review. I'm wearing my black and white shirt, so I want to give you a black and white review. And here's the truth. Virgin is finally starting to fill up their ships. All the other sailings I've been on before are under 2,000 people. This one I'm on right now is about 2,200 guests and about 1,000 crew on board. And like I said, we're going to talk in black and white. Here's the truth. It's not just coming from me. It's actually coming from members of management on board. I don't want to blast them, but about 5 different members of management have told me these ships start to break as soon as you get more than 1,500 passengers on board. Now, I right now am in my absolute favorite secret room on the ship that they use for absolutely nothing. I assume it's a conference room, but not a lot of people are doing conferences on Virgin Voyages. This is called the Scene. It's up by the pool, and I do like, unlike the Scarlet Lady, they really have kind of kitted it out, made it really nice. You'll notice it's nice and quiet in here, but what we're going to do is we are going to do a little tour, and I will tell you why Virgin has not only fallen out of favor as my favorite cruise line, but if there's more than 1,500 people on this ship, it's actually worse than a Carnival cruise. I love Carnival too, so it's actually probably the worst in its price range, which Carnival is actually below its price range, probably the worst in the medium price range. So let's go ahead, let's get started, let's talk. I am coming out of the Scene. I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So like I said, this is the pool deck, and the C word is now finally over. And what's interesting is, they still have the problem of they've got a very, very tiny pool. Someone had fun. This is actually a 19-person capacity pool, not a 91-person capacity pool. So, if we wanted to fix it, we'll just say 19, because that's what it is. One hand is not fun to do this. There we go. There we go. Fix the capacity on the pool. But we're out on the pool deck, and you notice it's quite quiet. Why it's quiet on the pool deck right now is today was Bimini Day, so everyone was out on Bimini. Now, I will tell you, about 3-4 hours ago, when everyone was out on Bimini, I had my absolute best experience I've had on board this sailing, because there were only about 300 people on board. I was able to go in all the pools, which you'll see. I was able to go in all the pools, go to both the steakhouse and Razzle Dazzle, and do that all, get a 6-course meal in less than 30 minutes. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, this is a European ship, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to have fast service. But I'll tell you, one of the most difficult things is there are multiple times in which we sat down over this cruise, and it took over an hour to get appetizers. I will tell you, certain nights it got so bad that I got to the point that I actually brought a box of pizza to the dining restaurants. Now, I will tell you, Gun Bay doesn't really have that problem, because you get a lot of attention at Gun Bay because there's one server for every 2 tables, and they actually do a really, really good job with that at Gun Bay. But we're walking in from the pool deck now, and we're going to talk about the first of the major problems that kind of comes to fruition when you have more than 1,500 people on board. Again, we're at 2,200 right now. This is the not a buffet, which is still quite confusing. Let me turn it around. The not a buffet. And again, we're at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the last port day, because Bimini is always the last day in the Caribbean, but this only seats 400 people. So this is called the galley, seats 400 people. Now, when you're talking at a normal lunchtime, and you're seating 400 people at a normal, keyword here, normal lunchtime, you're seating 400 people, that means you can turn over in a lunch period from about noon to about 2:30, 3 o'clock. You can turn over in that lunch period. You can turn over 3-4 times. Here's the problem. That's not the full capacity of the ship right now. So if you do come in the morning and you do get an omelet up here, it can take up to 45 minutes to get breakfast. They just don't have the capacity to handle that many people. That's the trouble. They have these little phones. They put your order in on the phone, and when they put your order in the phone, there's not the capacity to actually service that many people. I've had multiple times where it's taken over 40 minutes once you order, if there's a packed area up here. And again, like I said, only seats 400 people, and there are 2,200-ish guests on board right now. Now, we're coming across to what still delivers, and I'll tell you, this is where I'm going for dinner tonight because I wanted a great experience on the last night. We're headed to Gunbae. Gunbae is a Korean barbecue type of restaurant, and it's still, the thing is, this one's actually still exceptionally good because it has a limited capacity, and you do have a waiter at every single table. You have a team, a waiter, and an assistant waiter at every single table. Someone will come and cook your food right there. So you got a waiter, you got an assistant waiter at every table, so it really does have that benefit of having that personalized attention right there. Very good, very useful. Now, I will tell you, overall, from my first Virgin cruise, had about 800 passengers on board it, and it was literally about a little over a year ago, November of 2021. November of 2021, a little over a year ago was my first Virgin cruise, and like I said, this is my 7th. I've spent over 40 days on board the Virgin ships now, mainly the Scarlet Lady, but also the Valiant Lady. But the thing is, again, this, at lunchtime, when we're walking through the galley gets extremely packed and only has room for 400 guests. And only having room for 400 guests does not scale properly. What you're going to notice is all of these venues, all of these areas were designed for about 1,500 guests. After that, everything starts to get really strained. Even we're about to go down the elevator. If you take a look at where they do trivia, the trivia room, I played trivia last night. There was no room. You had to get to trivia a half an hour before to even get a seat in the room they did trivia. They designed these venues so intrinsically small. They designed it to be intimate. I understand the design, but it was designed so intrinsically small, so intrinsically intimate, that it's literally impossible to put more than 1,500 people on board and to ensure those 1,500 people have a good experience. And again, I came to this number myself, but I also heard it from a whole bunch of people. That number that keeps going around is 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. So we're walking back, and again, another confusing thing is, some of these buffet areas, you actually, not a buffet areas, not a buffet areas, you actually go up and order from, and other ones, you don't. But let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead. We are up on deck 15, up by the pool deck, and like I said, today is a very quiet day because I think everybody's recovering from Bimini. But I want to ride down to the main deck right now where everything goes on. Show you some of the venues, and the fact is, I have some photos of some of these venues. For example, the theater. There's no way that 2,200 people could see what's going on in the theater. And I will be brutally honest with you. Everything in the app was sold out, anything useful, and the app was sold out by 3 p.m. on embarkation day. That's dinners, that's shows, that's everything by 3 p.m. embarkation day was gone. And, speaking of the app, literally I was in the guest services line earlier today, and trust me, we'll get to guest services in a bit, and there were people that didn't even know they had a printed daily program because the app works so strangely. So we come down to deck 7, and this is actually, in all my Virgin videos in the past, I've alluded to this, but this is actually walking into the wake, which is actually the set of the 2022 Bachelorette. So Virgin had such trouble filling their ships, they actually they farmed it out to Disney and AT&T, not AT&T, and ABC so they could do it. But this is the actual set of the Bachelorette here. Now, I came here a couple of times over the cruise. This is the wake. This is not just my opinion, this is the opinion of other guests. Doesn't matter how many people are on board. This is the weakest of the dinner venues. There are 6 dinner venues. Well, if you count the not a buffet, there's 7 dinner venues really. There's even a little bit more if you count some other stuff. But there's 7 dinner venues, 6, 8 dinner venues, somewhere around there. But bookable dinner venues, this is by far the weakest, but their lunch is great. But I will tell you, I came here on a sea day with my party. We ordered appetizers. An hour after we ordered appetizers, 60 minutes after we ordered appetizers, we still did not have food. And they blamed it on leaving blue cheese off of a salad. Literally. That was the explanation. It took an hour because we left the blue cheese off the salad. Now here's the important thing, that was a sea day. There were 2,200 guests on board. There was a line to get in even if you had a reservation. They don't have separate lines. I think here's the important thing. When you do have more than 1,500 people on board, they do not have separate lines if you have a reservation or you don't have a reservation. So right when the restaurant opens, the line will stretch all the way down the corridor here, and the people with reservations, they miss their reservation time because everybody can't get a reservation. I think that's kind of the interesting thing. So we were here over an hour on a sea day, right around noon. We got here at noon, a little bit. We got here at 11:45, and by 1 o'clock, by 5 minutes to 1, we had to leave to go do the horse race, which we've talked about in another video here. Now, I will tell you today, Bimini Day, the last day of the cruise, when I asked security and there were 300 people on board, I went to all 3 pools, I went to the steakhouse, and I went to Razzle Dazzle in under 45 minutes. They know how to do the service, they just don't know how to do the service at volume because I don't believe they functionally can. These venues were built far too small. So take, for example, the Dock House. This is where they do trivia. This room is far too small to do trivia for 2,200 passengers in. That's not something that can be fixed. They have to limit the capacity. The capacity must be limited. It is not possible to fit the number of people that want to play trivia out of 2,200 in here. Multiple people. This was right here, I'll show you. This was a fire hazard last night, right here, because there were 3 people back, and this is a main thoroughfare of the ship. This is like the main atrium, the main Grand Foyer, the main, if you go on a Royal Caribbean ship, the Royal Promenade, or if you go on a Carnival, the Carnival Esplanade, whatever they want to call the big area in the middle. So, useful. Again, that was another set for the 2022 Bachelorette, and the next place we're going is towards the Social Club. Now look, let me not lie, this is not normally here. These tables are not normally here. There's actually normally games here. They moved these tables in because this is where they were showing the World Cup. So we are in World Cup times. It is December 2022, and this is where they were actually showing the World Cup. This, and up in the athletic club on the top outside by the big old net, is where they were showing the World Cup events. And you'll see this is still great. This is all included here. You can get hot dogs, you get all that fun stuff like that. But for example, the entire cruise, I was actually not able to even get back here because there is no way to efficiently get all the way back here when this is so packed from World Cup games. There's no back door, side door. This is actually my first time in 8 days walking right now into the arcade. You've got the arcade, you've got the free play arcade. Great thing is, no kids, so no kids, free arcade. Nice. But you've got the loose cannon back here, which, oh look, they even have free air hockey on this ship. Like I said, this venue has been so overcrowded. This is the first time, Bimini Day on the last day, that I've been able to actually walk into this venue. You've got the loose cannon. Take a look at this. They do trivia in this room. I want to show you. They do trivia in this room, and they invite on their app, which again, another story for a little later, they invite on their app 2,200 people. Let's say each of these booths seats 6 people, so 12, 24, say the bar seats, you can't fit more than about 50 people comfortably in this room. It's literally impossible to fit more than 50 people in a room that they use for events. Think about that for a second. 1,500 might be too low of a number, but I'm giving you. That's to give you a respectable idea. Again, it's quieter today because literally everybody spent time out on the beach, and I stayed on board with 300 people and had a very good time on board with 300 people. Now, next up, this is also the area that they will generally do Scarlet Night. I will let you know that a lot of the entertainment that was originally designed for Scarlet Night had been cut. There's not as much of the Phantom Folk Tales, the random entertainment, things like that going on at this time as there were back in the day. Now what we're walking to is we're walking to the main central foyer area right now. Let me turn it around. And there's something that I always thought was an afterthought on the Virgin ships before this cruise. I always thought it was an afterthought because it was actually so meh, so nothing special, that I had it maybe once a cruise. I swear, I've had pizza more this sailing than I have every other Virgin sailing I have done combined. Why have I had pizza more this sailing? Because as weird as it sounds, it's the only reliable thing on board. Yes, with 2,200 guests, pizza is the only reliable thing on board. Now, I don't think pizza's open again. No, pizza is open again. You can get a pizza. I will tell you, my traveling companion who was with me just gave up on the restaurants. They took so long. She literally gave up on the restaurants and ate pizza in bed with a fork and knife like a crazy person every single night. But you can see, this is the pizza place. And you can get these boxes. You can get the pizza to go. You take it, and I'll tell you, one of the best things I learned is take a pizza box with you to dinner. And you actually get served a little quicker, because I was like, why are you bringing pizza into a venue to get food? Really kind of makes you wonder. Again, we are in best case scenario right now because everyone's just getting back from the beach club. But you got the ice cream, had lines stretching around the corner, and still only one staff member running it. And when we're talking about staff members, let's talk a lot more specific about staff members. Virgin has very similar staffing right now to when they had 900 people on board. So double the number of guests, same number of staff. And they've openly admitted that they're having issues finding new staff. Now, I'm going to give you a little deep, dark, dirty secret in a minute, but the deep, dark, dirty secret is there's actually contempt amongst the staff as well. And why is that contempt? Because newer staff are getting paid less than staff that have been here for a while. It's important to understand that, Virgin has a built-in price with no tips and gratuities and stuff like that, even though I do see people do it. But you will notice that the newer staff members and the older staff members are getting paid a different amount of money. If you really do a little bit of research, just go on Google and you can see. And you might say it's loyalty, you may say different things like that, but realistically, it's just causing contempt. And we've seen multiple times, myself and my party have seen staff just standing around doing nothing because there's just such a level of contempt for what's going on right now and the difference in pay. And again, I've been told this by people, and I've also seen it posted online, is that they're getting different amounts of money. So let's go ahead. I will tell you, some of the dining venues we did have a very good experience at, but I will tell you that was after I talked to the right people. I talked to the right people, and how do I know that they were tracking it? Because there's certain things that we would request every night that are now starting to magically show up at the table. I went through the first half of the cruise just as a normal passenger. Then I went and talked to the right people. And when I talked to the right people, didn't go full Karen, but extra virgin was really quite good. Ate here last night. Extra virgin has the best steak on board. But here's an important thing. How many of you watching this video know about the secret menu in Razzle Dazzle? You probably know about the secret steak in Razzle Dazzle if you cruised on Virgin before. But did you know that every restaurant other than Test Kitchen has a different dish on Scarlet Night? So Extra Virgin, for example, has tiramisu on Scarlet Night. Now, that tiramisu, if you are going on Scarlet Night, important thing. So Richard's review fact you need to know. Important thing, if you are going to a specialty venue on Scarlet Night, you must book the first seating available, because these special menu items like the tiramisu, they only have it till about 8 o'clock. And if it's a dessert, they have it till about 8 o'clock. They have a couple of servings of it. Maybe I said like 50 to 75 servings of it. So nobody even knows about it. It's not printed on any menu. For example, in the wake, they don't tell you that you could get a steak for brunch, but you can't get the steak for brunch until afternoon. So you have to book afternoon to get the steak for brunch. Extra Virgin was very good. Now, unfortunately, I can't say the same for our cocktail pairing experience at the Test Kitchen. So one of the big things that they have at the Test Kitchen is they have that you can order the food paired with a cocktail. And we ate here twice over the cruise. There are 2 menus. On an 8-day cruise, they switch it on day 4. One menu is better than the other. One is mushroom, one is corn. The mushroom, great menu. The corn, not a great menu. But this is the Test Kitchen right here. Really cool venue, really horrible for taking a video in. But just take a look at the Test Kitchen here. Walking through. And you'll see this is where they prepare the cocktails and everything like that. But like I said, the trouble is The first night we ate at the test kitchen, we did a pairing, and there were multiple pairings we did not get until after we had finished the dish. Now that is not an operations problem. It might be an operations problem, but they can't serve this many people in here and still provide the same level of experience. That's just the God's honest truth. And we replicated it again. We literally had 2 drinks of the 6 that we had finished the course before the alcohol pairing even came. So we were sitting drinking alcohol with no food. And I'm not talking about a little bit of time. I'm talking about 20 minutes between when we got the dish and when we got the drink that was designed to be paired with the dish, which is not great. Not great at all. Now next we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go down to Razzle Dazzle, which is the vegetarian forward restaurant. Now this restaurant, again, when Virgin started, it had a lot more vegetarian stuff only than it does now. But if we come down here, the vegetarian forward restaurant, Razzle Dazzle, has added quite a bit of meat to their menu. And again, this is another stop today that this took about 3 hours to eat at. Now, I don't want this is a European ship BS coming in. I was sailing with 2 people who are sailing with me that are from Croatia. Those 2 people that are from Croatia said it was taking way too long to eat. I mean, we missed multiple shows we had booked, and if you know anything about the Virgin app, booking the shows is not easy. We missed multiple shows we had booked because the food took too long. I know, it's crazy. This is Razzle Dazzle. And if you don't know, the best thing here is the bacon. But for example, some of you watching may not know that the original brand promise, let's talk about brand promises for a minute. The original brand promise of Virgin Voyages is that they would have a drag queen. Yes, they eventually got a drag queen. They were going to have drag brunch in here. The whole idea of Razzle Dazzle was to have a drag brunch. They didn't find a drag queen until they had too many people sailing on board that a drag brunch really did not work. So, sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, get the bacon if you go to Razzle Dazzle. It just took an inordinate amount of time to eat because these kitchens, which I went on the behind the scene tour, these kitchens are not designed for more than 1,500 people. These restaurants are not designed for more than 1,500 people. This is one of the 6 main dining venues on board, and you can see it can maybe seat 200 people, 300 people. And this is one of the biggest ones, much bigger than Gun Bay, much bigger than the steakhouse. You can seat 200 or 300 people. Now, the next thing we want to talk about, and I don't like to talk about them in front of their face, is guest services, sailor services. We had many problems with 3 cabins over our cruise. I went to them. They were completely worthless. Completely and utterly worthless. If you watch, I won the horse race. I won $2,700 in cash. I had to chase down that cash 5 times. 5 times I had to chase down $3,000 in cash from winnings from an event. And they sent it to guest services. If you ever have to go to guest services, I think the expression is, bless your heart. You don't want to have to go to guest services. It's not a very good thing. Probably the worst customer service I've seen on any cruise line ever. And I've been cruising for about 30 years. I'm 35 now. I've been cruising since about 5. Hey, I couldn't really judge customer service at 5 years old. But, we come right down the elevators, and we are at the sailor services. Something random I love that they don't have on the Scarlet Lady is this beautiful door. It's a solid door on the Scarlet Lady. And the Valiant Lady has this really cool glass door that gets lit from behind. And then next up, restaurants. This was very good. Has probably the best steak on board. This is the Pink Agave. So you'll see Pink Agave right here. Now I will tell you, we had a very good experience at this restaurant. But this was after I talked to someone. Now how do I know that? Because we made some certain requests that we never asked for again, and they continued to come to the table. Even though the person the requests were for decided to just give up because the service was so bad and go eat pizza in bed every night. But yeah, this is the Pink Agave restaurant right here, or the Mexican restaurant on board. And for 2 members of my traveling party, this is actually their favorite restaurant, and they're actually coming back here tonight. But for the other 4 members of my travel party, Gun Bay is their favorite restaurant, and that's where we're going to be going back tonight, which is the last day of the sailing. But I want to go ahead and I want to talk. We've talked about food, talked about sailor services. I want to talk about entertainment, and I guess I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Or as the Misbehaved show says, you know what it's time to do? It's time to... Yeah. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room. And what is the elephant in the room? Well, it's this right here. It's the app.
More, do you know what I mean? Now it's time to play Name That Object.
Elephant! Pick elephant!
It is an elephant, yes. Well done. Give me 2 minutes to roll. Oh, pretty little elephant, isn't it?
Kill it!
Yeah. Do you know what? I always think it's important to acknowledge the elephant in the room. The elephant being the confusion across your gorgeous little face.
It's bad. It's really bad. And no one seems to care. And you know, some of you might know my favorite meme, which is when all the Spider-Mans point at each other. If you go to guest services and you tell them you have a problem with the app, they'll point at someone else. They'll say go to entertainment. If you have an entertainment problem with the app, they'll say go to guest services. If you go to guest services, they'll say go to IT. Nobody takes responsibility here. And that is a major theme. And it's amplified dramatically when you have 2,200 people on board. So, yeah, we've talked about food. We've talked about the fact that it takes a significantly longer time. Dinners are now 3.5 hours sometimes. We had multiple dinners where we just walked out without dessert because it literally took that long. Another example of 1,500 guests, more than 1,500 guests, not really working here is if you look at this venue on the rocks, this can seat maybe 100 people. I've heard from multiple people, they have to get here 45 minutes before any music act comes on to get a seat. Now, I myself like to go to the midnight or 1 a.m. music acts, which I'm very appreciative that Virgin actually has the music acts play sets at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning in the scheme of things. So I do appreciate that overall. But now we are going towards the casino, which is why I usually come on Virgin ship, but I will tell you I did not play in the casino today. But perfect example, we're walking in the casino. The app is so bad that they actually have a standby line for multiple events because they sell out within minutes. And this is the standby line for something that was actually really cool. This is called the Ship Show. You'll see they've got in the casino standby line for the Ship Show. And this is people waiting to get into the Ship Show. Now, what is the Ship Show? Ship Show is actually brilliant. Really cool concept. The Ship Show is dinner and a show. The only weird thing is, much like the other things that Virgin does, they have a lot of beats in the dinner, and you'll see there's just lines of people waiting to get in to the Ship Show, which again is dinner and a show. It's kind of like a gong show, kind of like an entertainment show, like a gong show or something like that. Is really what the Ship Show is. But you do make one choice for dinner, which is whether you want chicken or whether you want fish. I'm sure there's a vegetarian option as well, but on the menu is chicken or fish. And there's actually an entire other video that's going to be posted before this, which is going to go over the Ship Show and what the Ship Show is. I thoroughly enjoyed the Ship Show. That's actually one of the big positives for me that was on board this cruise, was the actual Ship Show. Now, we are coming towards the front of the ship. Let me come back down here. And we're coming towards a kind of controversial point, which is the Red Room. Oh wait, sorry, before the Red Room, the Ship Show is in the Manor, along with something called NSA, or Never Sleep Alone. It is very likely that by the time you are watching this, all of the Never Sleep Alone cast will be gone because Virgin is canceling the Never Sleep Alone show. Something unique. That's their version of the Love and Marriage game show, which involves simulated fellatio. Yes, it involves simulated fellatio on a banana and on a watermelon. And I wish I was making that up, but I promise you, I am not. But you see, those people are just starting to move in. And we've got, this is the Red Room right here. This is, as I call it, I don't like to call it the inventive way they like to call it. I like to call it what it is. This is a high school gymnasium at sea. They built a high school gymnasium at sea. And when I went on the behind the scenes tour, I learned some very interesting math. The maximum number of people They can fit in the high school gymnasium at sea, 500 people. That's standing room only, high school gymnasium at sea, 500 people. Now, Scarlet Night, the pool party, which if you've seen anything about Virgin, you probably know that Scarlet Night is their version of formal night, and it starts in the grand foyer and it ends at the pool, and everybody, all the guests go out to the pool. Well, you've got room for they moved the pool party for Scarlet Night to here. You've got room for 500 people. So, you got room for 500 people in a pool, in something that usually holds 2,000. That's interesting. You know, they did the show, so their main show is dual reality. They only performed it twice. Now, some of it was due to weather. It was never rescheduled. They only performed it twice. In dual reality mode, you can fit about 400 people, 450 or so in this theater in dual reality mode, which is the high school gym mode where it comes out both ways. Now remember, you perform something twice, you give it 450 people in. That means 900 people are going to see it over a 8-day cruise in 2 performances. They also had a guest entertainer app called the Magnets. Now, the Magnets was performed in the standard mode, which seats about 400 people. Seating about 400 people, they did it twice, so it's not a weather incident or anything like that. You had only 800 people out of 2,200 people that were actually even able to see a show. Let's talk about Royal Caribbean for a minute. Royal Caribbean has Hairspray, has ABBA, has all these big production shows on board. They will do it 6, 7, 8 times over a cruise to make sure that everyone can see it. Virgin goes with the surprise and delight theory, where everything's sold out before half the people get on the ship. Then you have standby lines, then you have craziness and everything like that. That's what's going on there. That's the reality of what's actually going on there. It's not surprise and delight, it's just not offering enough. And they're not offering enough because the ship is so incredibly, incredibly crowded. Now, this ship has 2,200 people on board it right now. Okay, 2,200 people on board the ship right now. Cool. But it can have 2,700 on board. You can have 2,700 on board, something that's only got 2,200 on board right now, and you're waiting 45 minutes for an omelet. This is not a joke. You're literally, I've never heard these crazy times. You'll go order a pizza, and they'll say, you have to wait an hour to get a pizza. Go order a pizza at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you literally have to wait an hour to get a pizza at 2 o'clock in the morning. This is absurd. Virgin cannot scale what they were doing for 1,000 guests for 2,000 guests with the same level of quality. It's the truth. It's actual. Everything is satisfactual. I will tell you, like I said, the dinner show, which is called the Ship Show, and Misbehave, the Misbehave game show, great additions. But the Misbehave game show, again, they did it twice over the cruise. They did it before Scarlet Night on Scarlet Night, and then the night after Scarlet Night, they did it 2 times. That seats a maximum, I'm going to be kind, of 500 people, meaning that only half of the ship got to even see it. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably going, oh, surprise and delight, find random things like that. No, not when your app books up with all of your bookings before people get on board. Some of my traveling companions had boarding times of 3:30 p.m. Every single show, every single event, every single activity was sold out by 3 p.m. They weren't even allowed to get on board till 3:30. You can't book till you're checked in and on board. Now, I got them on board with me early and we got things booked. But that's the reality. Unless you know what you're doing, you can no longer come on Virgin and walk up and book a restaurant and walk up and book a show. It's just not possible. There's just too many people, and we're still 500 or 600 people off from the full capacity of the boat. It's absolutely crazy to think about, but we're still 500 people off from the full capacity of the boat. So how does Virgin do this? How does Virgin fix this? I'll tell you, a perfect example is Virgin has cut a lot. They used to have random entertainment. If some of you were watching this and you're like, hey, look, I went on the ship, I didn't see any random entertainment. One of the members of my party on Scarlet Night, dressed as one of the guys from Squid Games, people were following him around thinking he was the random entertainment. Random entertainment's gone. Never Sleep Alone, very shortly after this, gone. You could say they're switching things up, left, right, and center, whatever, but Never Sleep Alone, they did a great job. I want to thank the doctor on the ship. This is December 3rd, 2022, the sex doctor, Dr. Anna Ashley A. They just call her Dr. A to make life easy. But, you know, she did an absolute great job, actually added shows later in the cruise that people were able to book. So that's like super duper awesome. But they canceled, 80% of people on board this ship did not get to see Dual Reality, which Dual Reality is the show of Virgin Voyages. It's the same show on Scarlet Lady. That's the same show on Valiant Lady. There's some different acts and things like that. Even like tonight, which is the last night of the cruise, they are literally doing a shortened version of Dual Reality, which it has the same acts as Dual Reality. It's not the whole Romeo Juliet story, everything like that. But they're doing a shortened version of Dual Reality called The Circus. Let me see if I can find it. I want to tell you what it is. Yeah, I took some screenshots in the app, so I don't have to wait for it to load. It's called The Circus Disco. The last night of the cruise. The last night of the cruise, when people are getting off in the morning, the Circus Disco is at 1 a.m. Yes, no. I'm not making this up. The Circus Disco, the last night of the cruise, Sunday, December 11th, is at 1 a.m. That ain't normal. That's not how you do this. It's at 1 a.m. So here's the thing. Internet as well. They did upgrade the Valiant Lady to Starlink. But I have some people that are traveling with me that have the base level free internet, and they're not able to do as much as I was able to do back in the day with the base level free internet. They've gimped the internet. They've taken down the speed of the internet to force more people to buy. Another thing to talk about with capacity is they have cut the port times dramatically. You know why they've cut the port times dramatically? To give you more time on board. More time on board, you know what that means? That means they want you to spend money drinking on the ship and not drinking off the ship. So more time on board means more time spending, means they can take the ship and they can drive it slower. So if they're driving the ship slower, guess what they're not burning as much of? They're not burning as much fuel. But here's the reality. Virgin has come to the point that they're now starting to look at profitability. But are they destroying the brand in search of profitability? I will tell you, and if you've watched my videos before, everybody who's traveling with me, every cabin that's traveling with me, paid $1,000 to come on board in a balcony cabin. That's it. $1,000 plus taxes and port fees. My traveling companion, who's never been on Virgin before, who's read all the marketing materials, watched all the videos and everything like that, literally told me that she would rather sail on Carnival. My friends who I worked on ships with, well, my friend who was actually my first, when I worked on ships, he was my first assistant, said that, I mean, this is delivering an experience that's not what was expected. Other friends traveling with me who sailed on Virgin with me about 6 months ago have seen the decline. Now, if you are new to this, you may be happy with it. But I think here's what's going to happen. The number of people who are rebooking and choosing to continue to book Virgin cruises are going to decrease, because when someone is figuring out that, you know, there are certain dishes. Now, look, let's go to the flip side of the coin where Virgin's marketing is going, well, you know, if we only put a certain dish in each restaurant on Scarlet Night, then you have to come back 5 times to try all the different dishes. Okay, but there's so much stupidity of what's going on here, and it doesn't deliver. I will tell you, in a week from now, I have my yearly family cruise on Royal Caribbean, and I'm actually looking forward to that much more. Seems insane that I'm looking forward to a Royal Caribbean cruise when still on a Virgin cruise in a week, but the problem is they just don't know how to scale it. Like I said, today, which is the last day of the sailing, which is Bimini Day, I was able to, in 45 minutes, go empty in all 4 pools, go to both the steakhouse, have I had shrimp cocktail, I had clam chowder, I had a filet mignon, then I went and had bacon and dessert at the, and the light just came on, went and had bacon and dessert at Razzle Dazzle, all in 45 minutes. I did not, and some of you are going, oh, it's just your party, eat slow and everything. No, we sat with no food on the table for an hour, many nights over this cruise. They just can't handle the load. So a lot of people are going, well, when do you book? The answer is you book when people can't get time off work. January, February, that's when you want to book. When, the beginning of the year, people getting projects in place. If you can get time off work, that's when you book. Now, if you're going, when do you book dining? You must, if you're going to come on a Virgin ship, you must book dining at the first available time. 6 o'clock in most venues, 6:30 in some of the venues. You must book it at the first available time, because here's the problem. The kitchen gets backed up, and that's why you sit with an empty table between courses for 45 minutes to an hour. 45 minutes to an hour between courses. This is not just us experiencing this. I've talked to multiple customers on board. Now, again, Virgin has probably, I'd say around 50% of customers new to cruising. So they can set different expectations than they can, but the customers who are not new to cruising and know cruising already know that this is taking far too long. The level of customer service from guest services is absolutely terrible, absolutely dog poo-poo, and everybody just points at each other like the Spider-Man meme and blames each other and says it's not my problem and blames Shoreside and blames other things like that. And when there's a problem with food, what do? We just throw beets at it. People think I'm ranting, people think I'm angry, but here's the real God's honest truth. I love Virgin, I take friends on Virgin, and it's disappointing. It hurts my own reputation to bring good friends of mine on something that I experienced that was amazing and has just gotten so overcrowded. Again, not at the capacity of the ship yet. It has just gotten so overcrowded because it has to. It has to. They don't make money if it's not overcrowded. That's the truth. But this is more poorly run than the oldest, crappiest Carnival ship right now with the capacity that's on board. The oldest, crappiest Royal Caribbean ship. The oldest, crappiest Norwegian ship, which Norwegian has this problem that they have more chiefs than they do Indians. It's a Native American thing, but they have more people in charge than the people actually doing the work. And Virgin's starting to come to that same trap as well. I'm not talking about butt here. The cruise that ended December 3rd, had half the number of people of this cruise. So it's unpredictable. But I think the only way to fix this is you've got to limit the capacity and you've got to raise the price. You can't make these venues any larger. They've built 4 ships, or 3 are ready to go. They got Resilient ready to go, but they're building 4 ships of this class. And you can't take these venues that seat 500 people and throw 2,700 people in there without doing 5 of every show. Or, for example, Never Sleep Alone seats 250 people. So you have to do 10 Never Sleep Alone shows to get your 2,500 capacity on there, assuming every show is entirely full. Ship show, again, seats 200 people. It's just not possible to do with these inflated numbers they are using. I want this to be a dialogue. I want this to open up. I'm not the evil bad guy here. I'm the guy that's made a whole bunch of videos that said, I love Virgin, it's my favorite cruise line, everything like that. If anybody from Virgin's watching this and wants to sit down and have a conversation, I'm more than happy to provide some ideas, to provide some logic, to fix some of the stuff that's going on. I am more than happy to talk. I'm more than happy to have a discussion, which is weird. And the important thing is, remember, this is not Richard Branson's cruise line. This is Bain Capital and BlackRock Capital's cruise line. Richard Branson is a figurehead that owns a minority stake in Virgin Voyages and has paid appearance fees just to show up. But I want it to get better. And there's other videos I'm not going to talk about here that say, someone has to buy them. Another cruise line has to buy them that has the expertise in order to really make this better. But right now, with more than 1,500 people on board, it's not good. It's not good at all. It fails to deliver on all of their brand promises. And I can no longer recommend Virgin Voyages. So, Virgin, happy to reach out. nopantsprofits@gmail.com. Richard@nopantsprofits.com. I am in the South Florida area. I'm happy to join any focus group. My traveling parties are happy to join any focus group. I spend about 40 days on board your ships right now, total. And I've seen the decline. If you look in my videos, you'll see everything that's been going on. You as a passenger, sail when it's quieter. If you start sailing Christmas and New Year's, you're going to have a bad time. watch the number of people on board you're sailing, plan appropriately, make sure you book everything the second you can, and make sure if you're booking dining venues, you book the first time of the night because it's a cascade. Stuff gets behind, and stuff gets behind, and stuff gets behind, and stuff gets behind, and stuff gets behind. I'm tripping. Stuff gets behind, and stuff gets behind. And then that's how you take 3 or 4 hours for dinner. We were fortunate. We booked 6, 6:15, 6:30 every night, and we still took 3 hours for dinner on some nights. So you know you can't turn over those tables nearly as fast as you'd like to. If you've got any questions, you want to have a discussion, the comments below are open. I'm not going to delete anything you say. You say, I'm trolling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm just telling you my version of the truth. My version of the truth as I see it, as a journalist, as a cruiser, as someone who previously loved Virgin Voyages. This is Richard from No Pants Profits coming to you from Bimini with a great sunset view right there. Look at that. Look at that sunset. Great sunset view. Reminding you, when you go on cruises and you wear no shirt, well, no, and you wear no pants and your shirt is black and white because the truth is always black and white. You're wearing no pants. There's only one thing you got left to lose. And that's your shirt. This is Richard from No Pants Profits saying have a great one. Bye!